Nestled high in the mountains of northern India, Dharmashala is an Indian town with a Tibetan heart. Almost everyone who lives here comes from Tibet. The rousing blasts of the Dungchen joins Tibetan oboes, drums, and cymbals in an ancient musical meditation. Dharmashala is a Tibetan sanctuary for those whom China has driven out. Many arrive here after weeks of trekking through the Himalayan mountains dividing China and India. Buddhist monks who stay in Tibet risk re-education camps and worse. The Chinese authorities have singled out Tibet's religion for decades of the harshest repression. For 40 years, Tibet has faced wave after wave of Chinese attack through labor camps, re-education, and non-stop political persecution. China has done everything it can to wipe out the Tibetan identity. With Tibet gaining ground as America's favorite human rights cause and a succession of new Hollywood feature films coming out which deal with Tibet, foreigners are flocking to Dharamsala as never before. They come to see a freer Tibet they can't see elsewhere. Leading the American rush is Robert Thurman, father of US film star Uma Thurman. He's a former monk and studied with the Dalai Lama.
I can attest, having known him since he was 29 years of age, that he has made tremendous effort with himself. He hasn't just sat back and said, I'm a Dalai Lama and I'm a reincarnation and I'm God and never forget about. And so the Dalai Lama is a figure that emerges where someone has sort of is looked to as the secular authority as well as the spiritual authority, you see. And from the particular Buddhist perspective, that's not a bad thing. It's a good thing because it's not just a religious orthodoxy that's dominating, it's a way of life.
Behind the scenes of third world shabbiness, Dharmashala is finding itself playing host to superstars. Steven Seagal, Brad Pitt, Richard Gere have all made pilgrimages here. Robert Thurman is the leading authority on Tibetan Buddhism, dedicating his life to bringing the Tibetan cause to Western consciousness. But the Tibetans are keen to emphasize that their religion is not for sale.
You see, I have no interest. I always avoid, to convert. I telling, even my many, they lecture in the West, I usually telling them better follow one's own traditional religion. Changing religion sometimes, creates some confusion. But then, this area, when I give some teaching to the traditionally Buddhist country, then I have no sort of, no hesitation.
Dharamsala has become the springboard from which the Dalai Lama makes frequent international trips to campaign for his country. Wherever he goes, he's treated like a king, and the sight of it makes the Chinese fume. But it's not always been like this. Throughout most of his exiled life, the Dalai Lama and the plight of his people have been ignored internationally.
I blame the British, I blame the Americans, I blame all those who joined the Chinese for the sake of business in pretending that the Tibetans never existed as a separate people. That's genocide, mental genocide.
The current Dalai Lama escaped from China in 1959, and the Indian government allowed him to build the first monastery in exile. It was followed by a number of further monasteries duplicating those back home in Tibet. But they're more than just a cultural curiosity. The monks of Dharmashala have succeeded in building a successful financial enterprise. From here, they manufacture Tibetan medicines, which are in great demand around the world. And in the astrology department, they deal with horoscope requests.
So besides the horoscope, we even prepare the calendar, the Tibetan calendar every year we prepare. And besides calendar, then we have various amulets for various purposes, like for health, for prosperity, for good luck, and even for all-purpose amulets also it's available.
Tibetan religious leaders are chosen after they show signs of being able to mediate for the gods. Tobden is the most senior oracle. He was selected after he fainted, a clear sign of divine presence. He says it was like a lightning flash which struck him to the ground.
Then I have a big duty. Then also one side is official, I have to the same level to the minister. One is that I take care of this monastery, Robert Lama. that time I don't have to do education and not special. I'm just normal monk. Then jump to the not by come to step by step, like jumping. This is very dangerous.
Most powerful are the young reincarnates. Nanchen Rinpoche has the body of a child, but the spirit of a long-dead Lama. He's one of the religion's most senior figures.
Because I have been named as a Rinpoche, I'm classed as a reincarnate. That gives me more responsibilities. I must work to benefit others.
Here in the foothills of the Himalayas, the youngsters of Dharmashala enjoy a freedom they couldn't know in their own country. The fear is that as time goes on, these Tibetans are forgetting that they have another home. And with Chinese power more firmly entrenched than ever, the likelihood is that they won't be going back anytime soon. Many of these children undertook horrific journeys to escape from China.
Almost 60% of the children in this school are from Tibet. And almost every one of them had faced the same problem coming to India. They had to either bribe the Chinese officials by paying huge amount, those who could afford, and those who cannot afford, they had to trek mountains, valleys in order to reach.
My uncle has brought me to India with a very hardship way. He had sometimes put me in the midst of luggages. Before I come to India, I don't have the knowledge that my country has been invaded and the importance of knowledge. I was absolutely innocent.
This school has started in 1960. And so during these almost 37 years, starting with just about 52 children. Now this school we have almost 2,500 children at present.
I would say to the world's children to mainly study, educate yourself.
Mainly study, educate yourself.
Through education you can help others. If you don't study, it won't be helpful for others, as well as for yourself. Mainly, I'd like to say please do good. That's all.
They won't give up easily. A debating session for Tibetan nuns, perhaps a metaphor for their impossible battle to justify themselves to the world. Meanwhile, the Chinese authorities do anything they can to suppress the ambitions of India's Tibetan refugees.
This is my foreign tour now increasing. So now they make more stronger and more obvious campaign or protest. So this is my recent visit to Japan. So they formally protested. And also not only the government, but the institution which inviting me. There's some Chinese officials visited them, and how say they complained.
The Tibetans are a people with every reason to pray. The Chinese have recently stepped up programs to move so many non-Tibetans into their homeland that they could soon become just another minority within their own country.